Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. In yesterday's video, we talked about the losers of the Set 17 ban list, and in today's video, we're talking about the leaders, decks, and strategies that come off as winners of the Set 17 ban list. So we'll get into it. If you're new here, though, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss Dragon Ball Super video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, many ways down in the description to do so as always. But today, guys, if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards we talk about in today's video, feel free to use my link in the description to TCG Player. Really does help me out a lot, and I appreciate each of you guys that does that for me already. Anyways, let's get started with this. Alright, so ending yesterday's video, we talked about the hits to Soul Striker. So basically what it was with blue last format, it wasn't one of the best colors in the meta or anything, but if you were playing blue, you were probably playing one of three decks, probably Soul Striker or Ss4 Vegeta at the most, maybe Android 16. There was some Android 16 doing pretty well last format, but yes, you were playing one of three decks mainly. Soul Striker saw a hit to say that it no longer awakens when you have a 3-cost unison in play. You now actually have to get down to 4 life in order to awaken. That is a big hit to the leader's power level, because one of the big advantages to the leader was you could stay at high life the whole game and not really care about it. Now you probably have to run some self-awaken in order to consistently ensure that you can flip over. But with that hit, that does kind of open the door to other blue leaders. Now, one thing I want to mention before I talk about these leaders is that the other leader I mentioned that was popular last format for blue was Ss4 Vegeta. Ss4 Vegeta is not hit in any real significant way, in actually any way at all, to be honest. And the format is most likely going to slow down pretty significantly because, as we talked about yesterday, aggro overall is a big loser of the Set 17 ban list. So with that in mind, Ss4 Vegeta still looks very good, and also, of course, no hits to Android 16, so that deck should also be fine. But for other blue leaders, I mean, you can look at a whole list of blue leaders, and a lot of them probably look more appealing now that Soul Striker is gone. The thing with Soul Striker was, it was the best leader to house just like best blue card dot deck. It's not quite the same as Ss4 Vegeta. Ss4 Vegeta, you're playing more to like a rampy game plan, so you're playing lots of boss monsters, you're playing UI Kamehamehas and other cards that specifically help you ramp. But in a leader like Soul Striker, you're just playing the best blue cards you can play that don't really require a ramp. So other decks that can sort of facilitate that, maybe SSG Goku Crimson Warrior, and then you have a new archetype deck coming out in Set 17, which is Gamma 1, Gamma 2, Newfound Foes. I've been playing this deck a pretty fair amount. I like it. It's got some problems, though. I talked a bit more about that in the video I did last week covering the archetype, and I'll probably bring a competitive profile to the Patreon soon and talk more about it there. But so far, without rambling, this does seem like a pretty strong deck, and it seems a lot more appealing since, 1, Soul Striker is being hit, and 2, aggro is being reined in even more than it has been in the past. So overall, non-Soul Striker blue leaders pretty much are big winners of the ban list, because there's just more reason to play them now that Soul Striker has taken a big hit to its power. Next up, we have Toa coming off as a big winner of the ban list. So a lot of people have mentioned that they think that Secret Identity Masked Sand was mainly hit just so that they could promote the Toa deck in Set 17, and I can totally see it. I mean, I played Toa a lot as well. I do have a build on my Patreon. I think the deck's actually relatively competitive, and I did actually mention there too that if we saw some hits to aggro, namely King Piccolo and Gogeta Xeno, which everyone thought would get hit in some capacity, this leader could shine even more, and I think that's going to happen in Set 17. This deck is pretty good. But yeah, Secret Identity Masked Sand was quite annoying for Toa, but I mean, if you kind of expected Secret ID, which you would, being a Toa player that's well versed in the meta, you could play around it to some degree. I mean, you're getting a lot of use out of your tokens each turn. You're not necessarily just sitting there with 10 tokens on board waiting to get wiped by Secret ID, but it was annoying. Don't get me wrong, it was super annoying. But with Secret ID getting hit, that is a big boost to Toa and other token-based decks. I mean, I honestly can't really think of many besides Toa. I guess there's like some chilled archetypes out there. I really don't know of any like super offensive token-based strategies. There's Android 21, but you're playing tokens to your opponent's board. But anyways, yeah, big boost to Toa, especially also considering that Gogeta Xeno took a big hit. We're going to be looking for some other bastion for black leaders and black strategies to step up in the metagame. Toa, I think, is going to be a pretty good one for that. I also think that Hatchiyak is probably going to be a good one for that as well, but I think Hatchiyak's going to suffer the problem that it always has, which is people just don't want to play it because the games get dragged out way too long, and it's honestly not the most fun deck to pilot unless you really like that hardcore control style of gameplay. But yeah, Toa, big winner from this ban list. And then we have green coming off as a real big winner from the set 17 ban list, and that's not only because of the cards that were hit on the ban list, but also because Cooler is coming out, which is the first strong green archetype we've seen since King Cold came out in set 13. Ever since then, we haven't really gotten a meta worthy or even really rogue worthy green contender for the Dragon Ball Super competitive format. But Cooler's coming out, looks very, very good. I've got 2 builds on my Patreon if you guys want to check that out. I guess we've been plugging the Patreon all video, but yeah, got a lot of competitive builds there if you guys want to check them out, maybe step your game up. But yes, Cooler looks very, very strong. Now, why does green come off as a winner as a result of the set 17 ban list? It's not really due to any specific hit, but it's really just due to the fact that over the last several ban lists, like probably since set 14 and onward, whatever color has been dominant in that meta has gotten hit pretty severely. I mean, there were big hits to yellow just a ban list or 2 ago. This previous ban list, I mean set 16 ban list, we're seeing big hits to King Piccolo and Gogeta Xeno. So if red, black, yellow, and even blue in the form of Soul Striker are taking big hits to their best cards, I mean, that can only be good for green, right? Gotenks and King Cold were already doing pretty well at a rogue level for green. If you were well versed in these decks and knew your matchups, you could play either of these decks and probably top or tournament. But again, now that all these other colors are being brought down a significant peg and Cooler's coming out, which is going to be a big powerhouse for green, it seems like green is going to finally be in a good spot. Maybe green will finally be one of like the top 3 colors in the metagame, which it unfortunately has not been for quite some time. Another deck to consider here, though, is also the Broly BR structure deck hand control build, which not a lot of people in the States are playing. I've only really been seeing it in Asian tournaments. Maybe that'll be a hand control deck that can actually pop up in the meta over here, or maybe even in some other regions. But there's always the problem with hand control of now, like Deborah, Virtual at Hand, being a super strong answer. So it seems like these green decks that have elements of hand control, but don't necessarily only do hand control, are probably in the best position in my opinion. But anyways, guys, got a few more winners to talk about. Real quick though, a word from today's video's sponsor. Yo, Dragon Ballers, quick break in the video to give a huge shout out to PPG, who is going above and beyond to make our organized play season the best that it can possibly be. I'm here on the PPG event management website. I'm going to link this down in the description, so all you have to do to sign up for any of these events is go down to that link. But anyways, real quick, we have MomoCon at the end of May, where there is a guaranteed case tournament for Dragon Ball Super. Next up is the Origins event, which is a huge one, guys. They have events going from Wednesday to Saturday. Practically every single day of the con, you can play a Dragon Ball Super event, among other card games. It's going to be an absolutely incredible time. Next up, after that, we have an event in Denver, which is for the Pro Play Tour organized season. Not only are you playing for an invite to the Pro Play Invitational, but you're also playing for $2,000 guaranteed. And if you want to, guys, there is also a Team War event in that same weekend, and Team War is one of the best formats to play. If you haven't played a tournament with your friends, you absolutely have to do it. And then finally, an event that I know for sure that I'll be attending is the Too Many Games convention in Philadelphia. This is actually a regional for the regular Dragon Ball Super organized play season. So again, guys, super huge shout out to PPG. Secondly, this website is so awesomely laid out. All you have to do is go to this website. All these different tabs here will take you to the events you want to sign up for. I hope to see you guys there. Let's get back into the video. All right, big shout out to PPG as always. Getting back into the winners of the ban list, though, we have control decks. Yesterday, talked about how aggro overall was a big loser on the set 16 ban list. We were in a format where aggro decks were winning not much earlier than turn 4, sometimes turn 3. And that was mostly if like you either hit the absolute nuts in your opener, or you were playing against a leader that took a lot of life, self-awakened themselves, right? Besides that, I mean, turn 4 for aggro is pretty late compared to what we've seen in Dragon Ball Super. I mean, Dragon Ball Super aggro historically has been like turn 2 kills. So having that pushed back all the way to turn 4, and now having the most 2 aggressive decks in the format taking big hits, who knows? We might see like a turn 5 earliest like winning type of format where these control decks like Sin that gets online turn 6, and Baby, which has, you know, lots of turn 7 bombs in blue. These types of decks might just be way more comfortable in the format. Don't get me wrong, though. There will still be some aggressive decks in the meta. Not like pure aggro decks, I wouldn't say. But you got like U7 Goku. You've got GT coming out in set 17. I think we'll still see some quicker pace decks that can probably still win on turn 4. But, I mean, all the hits we saw on the set 17 ban list only look good for control decks like Sin, like Baby, like Hachiak. I would say Invoker, but I mean, the hit to Android 17 MVP is a really big one. That deck might not be able to recover from that. But yeah, these control decks are looking to be in a real good position coming into set 17. And the final winners of the Set 17 ban list, in my opinion, are real rogue aggro decks like Broly Awakened Demon, Jiren Blind Destruction, and Majin Buu AOD. These decks are now in a more interesting spot to be explored because, again, of the big hits to King Piccolo and Gogeta Xeno. We've got to go out there and find those next best aggro decks. There have been several ban lists where aggressive colors or aggressive strategies have been hit, and a lot of players thought, myself included to be honest, in some of those, a lot of players thought that aggro was dead. We were just moving into a mid-range control format. But that didn't really end up being the case. I mean, you know, back when King Piccolo first got hit, back in set 13, they limited Drum to 1, they limited King Piccolo New Ruler to 1. A lot of players thought that, you know, King Piccolo was going to be dead, and turns out it came back this previous format and was one of the best aggro decks of that format. So I bring up that example only to say that we might find a new really good aggro deck. Maybe not one that's, you know, turbo broken or immediately needing of a hit or anything like that, but an aggro deck that can keep in check a lot of these control decks that are going to be, you know, potentially running rampant if they get turn 6, turn 7. So my thoughts on that. Here are just some examples. Again, Broly BR for the real fast swap, you know, pseudo hand destruction, big crit battle cards. You've got AOD, which can actually still free play battle cards. Free play something that, you know, the designers and the R&D of the game have been really plucking out of the game with a lot of intention as of late on recent ban lists. And then we have Jiren, which also has some free play elements, although his free play usually comes in rest mode. But still, I mean, you can set up a lot of free attackers, a lot of cheap attackers, and be very aggressive that way. Maybe there are even some other aggressive decks in the format, maybe like Reboot Mass Saiyan as one example. But if you guys have any thoughts on this, other aggro decks that could maybe creep back into the meta, of course, let me know down in the comments. Speaking of the comments, this video is pretty much coming to an end, so let me know what you thought about the video, guys. What decks do you think come off as winners of the Set 17 ban list? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Yo, Dragon Ballers, really appreciate you guys watching the video. Thank you guys so much. If you like the video, definitely consider dropping a like, as it really does help me out a lot. And if you guys want to consider watching the next video,
Joey,
it should be, what's
Joey.
up? What's up?
How about OG Toa?
OG Toa from the anniversary box?
Yeah, is it any good?
Ivan, I think you're like 2 years late, bro.
Oh, man. I guess I'll back to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, no.